Welcome to Talking Wildfire with Michael Hill, podcast number 3. This episode is called Frame Hijack and Leadership. I wrote this piece specifically for the podcast because it's something I think needs to be talked about more in this industry and for all of our self-awareness as leaders. This one's for the good of the order, for everyone working on the line. Leadership can either hold a crew together under pressure or slowly tear it apart. Bad leadership doesn't just hurt morale, it increases risk, hurts performance, and makes difficult assignments even harder. Today we're talking about leadership, self-awareness, and crew dynamics. The article is titled, Frame Hijack, the Leadership Trap That Breaks Down Crews. Recently, while assigned to a fire in the United States working on a firing module, I saw firsthand how poor leadership habits can start affecting a crew when pressure ramps up. As the assignment became more complex and conditions got more chaotic, our young field leaders started filtering and passing up feedback based on their own opinions, emotions, personal agendas, and limited experience. The young manager in our overall command receiving their feedback then made decisions based off this biased intelligence, therefore placing our field leaders' individual personal agendas first, thus as a manager himself becoming more authoritarian, disconnected to actual on-the-ground realities and isolated, and shifting our team focus away from our mission. And our crew cohesion started breaking down at times when we needed solid coordination the most. The more I watched it happen, the clearer it became how damaging this mindset can be, especially in high-risk work where trust, experience, and honest communication matter. A lot of new leaders step into authority, believing they need to control every situation immediately. They think leadership means always having the answer, always being right, and never showing uncertainty. That's where people fall into what's called frame hijacking. Frame hijacking happens when a leader starts forcing everyone else to operate inside their personal view of reality, while shutting down different perspectives. At first, it can look like confidence, but over time, it turns into tunnel vision. People stop speaking honestly. Experienced workers stop contributing. Crew members learn it's easier to nod along than speak up. Instead of building a strong team, the leader slowly creates an environment where nobody wants to challenge bad decisions. And the dangerous part is most leaders don't even realize they're doing it. So what's a frame? A frame is basically how someone interprets a situation, what matters, what the priorities are, and how they think the crew should respond. Good leaders establish a clear frame. Here's the mission. Here's the objective. Here's the standard. Here's how we work together to get the job done safely. Bad leaders turn it into, my interpretation is the only one that matters. Questioning me means you're a problem. Agreement becomes more important than results. Only they know the real truths of any situation. At that point, the crew stops functioning like a team and starts revolving around one person's ego, moods, and need for control. Most people who fall into this aren't bad people. Usually it comes from insecurity and inexperience. New supervisors often feel pressure to prove themselves fast. They want to look capable, stay in control, and avoid looking weak in front of the crew. Under stress, some people mistake authority for leadership, so they start correcting every disagreement, shutting down criticism, dominating conversations, and treating experienced input like disrespect. Eventually, the message becomes, get on board or keep your mouth shut. The biggest problem this creates isn't conflict, it's silence. When crews stop talking honestly, problems stop getting caught early. People stop bringing up concerns because they know the response already. Experienced firefighters quit wasting their breath. Strong workers disengage. The crew may still look functional on the outside, but underneath, trust is already breaking down. That's when mistakes start slipping through. The leader usually mistakes this silence for respect or unity, but most of the time, it means the crew has checked out. Over time, crews divide into groups. The people who blindly agree, the people keeping their heads down, the frustrated workers who stop caring, and eventually the people who transfer out or quit. Another problem is that crews become more focused on managing the leader than focusing on the job. People start thinking, what kind of mood are they in today? Is this worth bringing up? How do I say this without getting chewed out? That kind of environment drains attention away from the mission and puts it onto personalities and politics. And on a Fireline, distractions and poor communication create risk. Ironically, leaders who operate this way usually end up isolated too. Once nobody speaks honestly anymore, they lose touch with what's really happening around them. Then they double down even harder. Strong leadership looks different. Good leaders create direction without shutting people down. Strong leaders can say, "Tell me what I'm missing." Speak up if you see a problem. Challenge bad ideas. Managing to strengths. Bring solutions, not just agreement. Real leadership isn't about controlling every thought in the room. It's about building a crew that can think, communicate, and adapt under pressure. The best crews aren't made up of identical personalities. They're made up of people who trust each other enough to speak honestly and stay mission-focused when things get difficult. There are warning signs when a leader starts falling into frame hijacking. Criticism feels personal. Disagreement gets treated like disrespect. Meetings turn into lectures. Crew members hesitate before speaking. Morale drops. People complain privately, but stay silent publicly. And loyalty becomes more important than competence. One of the biggest warning signs is when a leader starts believing, if everyone just did things my way, everything would work. That mindset usually means the leader has stopped listening. So how do you avoid falling into this trap? First, separate your position from your ego. Being questioned doesn't mean you're being attacked. If you can't handle pushback, people stop being honest with you. Second, reward straight talk. Crews watch how leaders react when someone speaks up. If people get punished for telling the truth, the entire crew learns to stay quiet. Third, listen before reacting. Too many leaders jump straight into defending themselves instead of understanding the issue. Sometimes the best response is, "All right, walk me through what you're seeing." Fourth, allow people to think independently. A strong crew doesn't need to agree on everything personally to work well together professionally. And finally, build ownership across the crew. The best teams aren't built around one personality. They're built around shared standards, shared responsibility, and mutual trust. At the end of the day, weak leaders consume space. Strong leaders create it. The best leaders on the Fireline usually aren't the loudest people in camp. They're the ones who stay steady under pressure, listen to experienced people, make decisions when needed, and create an environment where the crew can operate effectively together. Crews held together by fear eventually fall apart. Crews held together by trust and respect can adapt when things go sideways. Because leadership isn't about forcing everyone into your mindset. It's about building a crew capable of handling hard situations together. If you have gotten anything out of today's School of Fire podcast, please share this with a friend or work colleague and leave a comment below. Be safe out there. We're doing this for all of you. If you like what we're doing, please give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment below. See you next time.